Really appreciate everyone joining us tonight. My name is Jackson Hinkle. I'm joined today by Ronghui, founder of CertiK, the global leader in Web3 security, and our gracious hosts this evening. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Mitchell Amador, CEO and founder of Immunefi, one of the biggest bug bounty programs in the crypto space, and Dominic Schaffer, who is VP of Americas at Crystal Intelligence, one of the largest data platforms for Web3, for crypto, for blockchain. Really excited to be having this conversation tonight. We're going to be talking Web3 security, smart contract security. The space is going through a lot of changes right now. We are seeing major institutions here in the US and globally jump into the space. Names like BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, Wisdom Tree, DTCC, fully embracing the space and building products on blockchain. And that raises, I think, a lot of really important questions that we're going to get into tonight. But I would love for just quickly for y'all to introduce yourself to our audience, and we'll start with Ronghui.
Okay, sure. So first of all, thank you guys for joining the event. And I believe it's designed for about 100 to 150 people, and we got more than 1,500 registration. And in the first 30 minutes, we have more than 200 people here. Well, yeah. So thank you guys. And I'm Ronghui Gu. I'm the CEO and co-founder of CertiK. I'm also a computer science professor at Columbia University. So my research and also my company is focused on software cybersecurity, while for CertiK, mostly focused on Web3 cybersecurity. And we worked with most of the big players in the world, in the space, and we have served more than 5,000 clients and crypto projects, exchanges, and now we are serving more and more institutional clients. So we became unicorn in the year of 2021, and glad that we are still here. Yeah.
You gotta
Too advanced for me. Go figure. I'm Mitchell Amador. I'm the founder and CEO of Immunefi. Immunefi is the biggest security platform when you look at the amount of vulnerabilities or disclosures. We handle the vast majority of responsible disclosures in crypto today and try to prevent as many hacks as we can in the process. That's protecting several $100 billion and hopefully trillions and trillions of dollars in the future. So that's it for me. Please, Dominic.
All right. Dominic Schaffer with Crystal Intelligence. So I lead our America's business, and Crystal Intelligence is a blockchain analytics platform for on-chain analytics. And a little bit about myself. First, I was in the Army. Did that for 7 years, and then helped out various companies, enterprises, TradFi, and other enterprises with technology solutions. Gradually morphed into financial risk and financial data, and now on crypto risk. And I've been here for the last 4.5 years. But thank you for being here and having us, coming to participate in the panel.
Thank you, gentlemen. Really, really excited to be speaking with all of you. We got some real bulldogs on this panel, so I think it's going to be a great conversation. But I want to start off with just quick framing. Like I said, we've got institutions in the U.S. and globally jumping into the space. We also, just today at Consensus, Bernie Moreno, U.S. Senator, announced that the Clarity Act would be moving forward to markup next week. So, alongside the institutions jumping in, we've got regulatory stuff happening, and just a lot of interest for the space that wasn't there a year or 2 years ago. But, Ronghui, I want to start off with you. The space is growing like crazy. We're seeing trillions of dollars of volume with things like stablecoins. We're seeing tokenization blow up. When we look at the current state of Web3 security, I think 2025 was, there were more exploits, more hacks, more money lost via exploits than any other year in the past, and that may just be because the space is growing. But what currently exists in the space, and is it enough to protect institutional investors, retail investors, when we're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars being on chain?
Well, it's a great question. So you mentioned the number, right? So the financial loss in the space due to, let's say, vulnerabilities and so on in the year of 2025 last year actually almost double the number for the year of 2024. And also, sorry, we just made a tweet, I believe, yesterday, saying that well, in April last month, only 3 days. There are only 3 days without a hack event, right? So kind of like basically in that 30 days, 27 days, right? There are some big hacks, right? A smaller amount of hacks and so on. So you can see, well, it definitely we do not have a perfect solution, right? You can see it can be reflected from the number. But we have seen some interesting trends. For example, like although in the year of 2025, well, the total number has been increased, almost double, but the number caused by smart contract vulnerability has been dropped. Meaning that smart contract at least it's been better protected, right? Compared with, let's say, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I would say this definitely is a result by the joint work, right? It's a result of joint work by, let's say, CertiK, right? Immunefi, many players in this space, right? We educate the market, we make people realize that you need to pay enough attention to smart contract. You need to do audits. You need to do bug bounty, right? You need to, let's say, do a lot of things, right, to improve security. But for the rest, like I would say, if you look at the number, right, lots of hacks due to supply chain, right? A lot of hacks are related to, right, the private key leakage, right? Some the hack related to operation and so on. So they are more right now, especially when institutions try to enter this space, right? I can see there are more and more attack vectors, and people didn't pay enough attention beyond just smart contract security, right? That's the issue. I think, well, it's our job to further educate the market and release more and more security solutions products, right, to serve these goals.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Really appreciate that. Mitchell, you started Immunefi several years ago. It's the biggest bug bounty program in Web3 by volume. When you look at the types of exploits that people using your platform are finding, what are the most common things that they run into? And what advice would you give to someone who's entering the space or has been in the space for a long time and wants to protect themselves against smart contract exploits?
Sure. That's actually a more complicated question than you might think because, when we look for context, Immunefi sits on the vast majority of major critical flows in the industry. If I look at the last time when I did the numbers in terms of aggregating all the hack numbers and aggregating all the major bounties and aggregating all the major critical disclosures, we sat around, not including things that go direct to projects, we sit around 92% of those numbers over the past 5 years. So we are in a position to draw representative conclusions. But even though we can draw representative conclusions about what has happened in the past, that doesn't necessarily predict what happened in the future. So, for example, the vast majority of these findings historically have been logic errors, and often repeating logic errors, things that you might find reflected in a non-customized form. Like, for example, in 2021, 2022, a common pattern was flash loan attacks in various places. But now things have changed. A lot of those attack vectors that used to be very common, those gates have closed. People aren't doing that anymore. We've solved problems around Oracle security. We've solved problems around flash loans. We've solved so many problems. And the kind and the class of vulnerability that we're seeing now in the wild is changing. Okay? And it's just beginning to show up in the numbers, frankly. This is a new trend. But there are two big things that are coming. Number one, the logic errors that we are seeing. We are still finding smart contract and, I would say, obviously on the DLT and the blockchain side, vulnerabilities in these types of technologies. But they're becoming very specific to the applications in question, which was not necessarily the case as much historically. Usually they have implementation details and the like. But now it's like you'll find a vulnerability and there's not going to be any parallel. It's not going to be generalizable at all to a similar class of projects. Whereas in the past, almost everything is forked over a small number of primitives. We would expect to see that pattern. And then the other thing that we're seeing, and we're seeing this, white hats are finding these vulnerabilities, we're identifying gaps right now, is failures in operational security and implementation. And what that means is, yes, you've built an amazing security stack. You have a system that works well together. It's like an integrated command and control for defending you and all of your customers from incredible harm. But you forgot about setting up in the right way. You forgot how you implemented. You weren't thoughtful about how you did that, and you were lapsed about how paranoid you needed to be. And this is opening up the gates for new kinds of vulnerabilities, especially such as what we see on the social engineering side. So the classic example of this that we've seen is the proliferation of exchange hacks. We look over last year. Why was it an ugly year? Well, to Ronghui's point, that was the best year in the history of crypto for smart contract security. We are doing an amazing job. We are creating objectively secure code. So why are we losing? And the answer is because people can be fooled. People can be tricked. We saw exchanges and their treasury wallets getting compromised in various ways through the safe interface, through people's machines. Why? Because they're downloading and playing with things like we saw in the Drift case. In the Drift case, $300 million stolen less than 30 days ago. Why? Because the team was trying to be helpful and earnest with their customers who spent, $1 to $2 million setting up the ultimate scam. That's what they did. And they used that $1 to $2 million to get access to those computers of their team and steal $300 million in turn. This is the new world we're going into, okay? These are the new attack vectors. And this is a world that, frankly, we've never seen before. So we've cracked the hardest problems. That's what the data shows, that we're making objectively secure code, which nobody knew was going to be possible 5 years ago. We are winning the hardest, R&D or physics problem in code security. But now we have the scariest problem in meat sack security, so to speak. How do we make people stay safe? How do we make people not make mistakes? How do we keep each and every one of you guys from trusting just a little bit too much, not realizing there's literally a North Korean hacker on the other end of that message? As Elon Musk says, if a wonderful woman messages you on one of these apps, block him. Okay? So just some thoughts on where we are today.
No, I love that perspective, and I think that from just reading the news, that seems to be true. I'll read about whatever hack, and then I look at the details, and it's like, man, this is a human error. This was not something wrong with the code or wrong with the protocol. Dominic, is that something that you agree with when you look at the data that Crystal is finding? Is that something that you agree with?
Yeah, absolutely. And so on the on-chain analytics side, so what we do, if you're not familiar, we go and tag crypto addresses, crypto wallets, and we understand where there is illicit activity associated with that address. So if that address is associated with a darknet marketplace or a sanctioned actor or a ransomware activity, we tag it, and exchanges use this data to keep their rails clean. They screen for these transactions. When they see those wallets, they block them and they don't interact with them. And then if there's an event, it really helps with post-event forensics. What happened to the trail when an exploit, when a hack happens? You can follow the crypto to see where are the off ramps, and then where were the actors on the upstream as well. And so that area of the market is very mature. And as the industry continues to scale, the analytics providers that are out there, we've been around for 10 years. Others have been in the space even longer. The ability to get good data and understand where the bad activity has happened is fairly well baked, but it keeps staying on top of it because there's new wallets born every day. The AI and other tools are just automating wallets, and they're doing good things and bad things, and it's a constant effort to keep up with the bad things. I'd say that the areas we have to be mindful of is we're really good at where the known blockchains and layer 2s are. It's keeping up with when there's a new project on a new layer 2 or a new layer 1. All right, adding that. There's some lag time there, but making sure don't take for granted that those steps need to be in place before you launch major amounts of capital or value across various chains. Now on the hack side, or just on the where things go wrong, 100% agree with what Mitchell's saying on the human error. Bybit had the biggest hack in history last year, and that was due to an operational security issue based on social engineering, not due to the Bybit security team, but the wallet providers to the Bybit security team, and so it was quite brilliant, but still very mindful of the human error as a part of the whole thing. It's a multifaceted approach. You need CertiKs, you need Immunefi, you need Crystal or a blockchain analytic provider across the board to ensure you stay protected and stay vigilant. Just because you do it once, you're set. Like, okay, we're good. No, you need to be paranoid. That's a good word to use. You need to be paranoid. But the tools are out there to help make being paranoid be easier.
Yeah, I really appreciate that perspective. Excuse me. No, Mitchell, I'd like to bring it back to you because you talk about the human aspect of this, and that is, I think, the most important part of it. But how much of these exploits, these hacks, can we actually prevent ahead of time versus trying to play whack-a-mole after they happen and help fix people's mistakes? We should I think do our best to make sure those mistakes don't happen in the first place. Is it just education? Is it building in building easier wallets for people to use on a daily basis? Maybe looking towards other custodians instead of trying to self-custody everything. What is your opinion on that?
Okay, I've got a scary, very frightening point of view on this subject. And that frightening, terror, just horrible point of view is we actually have everything that we need to secure trillions of dollars in assets right now. The tech war is by and large over. The hardest technical problems that we weren't sure that we could solve 10 years ago, we have already solved them. The problem is what's between the keyboard and the chair. And that's the problem at every level, at the level of consumer and retail and how we use and how we've been socialized to use these applications. Yes, we need to learn and transform how we use wallets. But especially those of us who are running the companies and running the institutions, we don't know that we've built a security stack that already works, that is already sufficient. We're already in a world where, Ronghui is probably familiar with this. I put up this challenge. I think that we can get down to less than 10 basis points in hacks per year when you're looking at smart contract or logic errors within a few years' time. The tech is already there. If people would just adopt what's there, if people would understand that we do have an on-chain security stack that really, really works, we would see this come to an end. And we have these solutions not just with regards to hacks. We have these solutions with regards to how we deal with these social engineering events. For example, we could be approaching problems like the drift hack or the obvious situation with firewalling technologies, ways to slow down transactions. But nobody does this, even though we have advanced technologies that are trained on every piece of vulnerability and hack data that we've had in the industry today. We have things, for example, on the anti-scam side. We know, we are watching through groups like SEAL and so many of us other private parties who are monitoring for scammers and criminals all around the world. We have these data sets, but we don't communicate them in such a way that they can be aggregated by a crystal that can go and take this to the stablecoin providers and freeze problematic criminal actors and save your funds in case you get compromised this way. We have the intelligence. We have the technology. We don't have the implementation. And that's the problem across the stack. We don't have the implementation anti-scam. We don't have the implementation on the smart contract security. We don't have the implementation on the standards groups. And if we solve this problem over the next 3 years, we're going to be looking at a financial system that is safer than the one we already have.
I know you said that was scary, but it's actually reassuring to hear that and just know that if I take the proper steps, I can be safe. Ronghui, I'd love to get your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, well, I agree with Michelle about kind of like I think we have already built so many tools, products, solutions, and so on. But why still their number keep increasing and so on? So one thing I want to say is that I would say is for me for us, I feel like it's kind of like education thing that we need to. Although we keep emphasizing how security, how important security is, right? And I think if we talk to any project owner and so on, they will say, "Well, cybersecurity is the highest priority thing," but still they didn't pay enough attention to it. For example, when I talk to many project owners, they have now it's a bear market, and the first budget they cut maybe the security budget, right? They would rather keep the marketing budget rather than the cybersecurity budget, and so on. And when we have clients, when they have really smart contracts, they want to do only, let's say, audit for one smart contract, or what do they call the core component. But security is not a compositional thing, right? You need to get your entire system right audited or secure rather than I only secured the the core component. And when they do some upgrades, right, they feel like they just change a few lines of code, so they do not need to re-audit and so on. So I would say it's really tough. And when we talk to our clients, they feel like, well, we just want to make more money. But the thing is, in many cases, we're just trying to, let's say, try our best with the trade-off cost and so on, try to help them, let's say, use our tool to scan some of the out-of-scope code to at least add one more layer of security within the budget. But the thing is, we know that, well, actually, we do not have confidence actually to the code that we didn't audit, right? Like when we release our, some products, even if the subscription fee is low, like our monitoring system and so on, but clients do not have lots of interest in it. So I would say still a long way to allocate the market. Like we have OPSEC, right? Try to improve the operational security, but just started this year, right? More and more clients they show interest, but actually we have been selling it for many years, right? They feel like, wow, our we have multi-sig, right? Our key will not be compromised, but well, many of the keys are stored in the same cloud, right? Provider, right? So it being hacked, right? It got all the keys and so on. So I would say it's tough, but I would say maybe not a technical challenge. It's more about how we can allocate the market and push things forward.
I have a question for you on that, Ronghui.
Yeah.
So, when I was working on this stuff 8 or 9 years ago, I was terrified of the technical challenge. Human problems have human solutions, but technical challenge, like physics challenges, you don't actually know if they can be solved or not. And now we're in a different world where you say, hey, the technical challenges have been solved in many cases. Not in all cases, but in many cases. Do you believe that we can solve the human challenges now? Are we going into a world where we're finally playing a winner's game?
Yeah.
With security traditionally a loser's game, right?
Yep.
Just very, very tough. Are we finally playing a winner's game with these human educational challenges, or is there something else that we need to change before the status quo, the equilibrium of the system changes materially?
Well, I would say this. First of all, it's a tough question. I think we both can answer it, and in my opinion, I feel like so. First of all, human challenges are more challenging than the technical challenge, to be honest. So I feel like for technical ones, we can have a solution that we have high confidence, but for human ones, it's tough. To be honest, even for CertiK, we have lots of team members, and they should be security experts, or at least they should learn more about how to protect themselves other than the average people, right? But we have our team members' computer got hacked, right? Their TG account got hacked, right? Our Twitter account got hacked due to one of our marketing people got hacked. Well, even for us, right, it's hard to educate our own team members, and we indeed do periodically some phishing campaign, right? We have our security engineer try to do this phishing campaign to our own team members. Every single time, there are about 20, 30 people, right? They got kind of like they got trapped, and even myself, I got trapped one time. So it's very hard. So this is, first of all, I feel like it's really hard. But second, I would say the development AI may introduce some definitely new threats, but maybe some new solution, right? You can see people now talk about why people want to build a so-called AI native company, right? Or build an AI agent and so on. So from a point of view of as a CEO, I would say managing 100 AI agents is much, much easier than managing 100 people, right? And for AI, I would say the good thing is AI agents can follow the routine in the sense that if we know how to defend this and we encode it into, let's say, some skills or whatever, and it's easier to protect. It's easier to I would say to build rather than educate people. Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on that, Dominic? You were called.
I'm with you both. I mean, yeah, we can. Yeah, it's the human element is I think we struggle with the same thing internally, but also what we observe in the hacks themselves.
Dominic, when you look at what hacks are happening, what exploits are happening, what is the single most common point of failure in that human chain? What should people at businesses or as an individual really be looking out for and be taking caution with?
I mean, I think about, well, as I mentioned before, I mean, with the Bybit hack was operational, just processes, and the Kelp DAO that was based on layer 0. I mean, they had one validator go down. They should have more validators up, but why'd they have one? The one validator was exploited, and there's 290 million, And so, again, these are process challenges, and I think to just reiterate the point of you get things set up once, great. You need to keep iterating, keep watching what's happening in the industry, read the news, be paranoid, because learn what's happening to others and apply it to yourself. And that would be kind of the biggest lesson. And the lesson to apply now is, all right, what's happening with AI? And so you'll probably get to another question on this, so we'll save that for.
The AI stuff definitely opens up another can of worms. I was reading a story about how somebody had typed out in Morse code, "Send me all the money," to a wallet on Twitter, and then the bot sent him all the money from the wallet that he had. It's just an interesting little story that I think, where the AI agent stuff is going to totally throw a wrinkle into all of this. But I think the last piece of this is the regulation. I think that most people, they think that regulation is going to help, protect consumers, protect users of these things. Is that something you actually think is coming in the regulation? Do you think that this is going to meaningfully improve security for individuals, maybe by adding consumer protections, saying businesses need to do X, Y, Z before executing a transaction? Ronghui, I'd love to start with you on this.
Okay, sure. So this year, right, we have seen lots of development, right, in the compliance framework in U.S. I would say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, U.S. maybe not that crypto friendly, and but at that time, some regions in Asia, like Singapore, back then, Hong Kong, UAE, and so on, are much more crypto friendly. So that's why actually I spent more time in the past 3 years in these regions rather than US. Certainly, actually, we feel like, as one of the leader in the industry, we have the responsibility to push forward the compliance framework. So we work closely with many regulators in other places. Like I personally serve on the Web3 task force in Hong Kong for Hong Kong government. I serve as a technical advisor for MAS, right, Monetary Authority of Singapore, and we work closely with, let's say, ADGM, VARA, and so on. So it's very tough procedure because first of all, I think we know the reason, but most of the government regulators, they do not like crypto in the first place, and second, they are afraid of many things related to crypto. I think one of the reasons because of they are not aware of the risk. They feel like it's very hard to regulate, and if some bad things happen, it's very hard to enforce, and so on. So that's why it's really a tough period. We did lots of training for, let's say, these different regulators and so on. We tell them what are the different solutions for key custodian, right? And so on. These very basic things, and we spend lots of time on that. And I would say it works actually. I entered the discussion with the Hong Kong government on the stablecoin policy starting in the year July 2023. Back then it's confidential. I can't disclose, but now I can talk about it. And they just released the license framework last month. So it's about almost 3 years, right? So we can say it's very slow, but it's moving forward. And this year, I think we spend more time in US. We spend more effort in US, right? We talk to many agencies, talk to many congressmen here who try to advocate crypto and so on. So I would say, back to your question, is it's hard. It's very tough procedure. But now I see that they start to embrace it, and it's also indeed helpful. Like Vera. Vera has a policy that for all the crypto projects who want to run business in the area, they need to refresh their audit reports every single year. Right? That's great, right? They need to do a full scope audit. This, right, we can't enforce, right? Even exchanges can't enforce that, but regulator can do it. Yeah.
Dominic, if there was something that regulators could force businesses to do, what would be one best practice or standard operating procedure that you would want to see regulators enforce on the space in order to prove security?
Well, I just start off by regulatory clarity in the first place is a positive thing. The Genius Act being passed, Ronghui, you had mentioned, MES in Hong Kong and UAE, and Brazil just passed, and MiCA in Europe. And so, I mean, what giving regulation clarity does is allows you to set up compliance frameworks, AML programs, transaction monitoring, travel rule, and reporting requirements. But it's just so you know the guardrails. You know the guardrails. But the second, their indirect impact, and we're already seeing this in the U.S. And the Genius Act just got passed, the last July, and they're still writing the rules for it. The desire of the market to invest real capital into the crypto economy, or whatever economy regulation is being passed into. And in this case, you're seeing a ton of capital being invested in on the institutional side, especially. And I think that stablecoin on the stablecoin side, and that's tremendous for safety, security, and growth. There is a trade-off where regulation can be expensive. You have Sarbanes-Oxley, and there were times when maybe regulation got overextended, so it can be expensive. But at this point, I think the trade-off is a net positive for the crypto industry. But one other point, if I could see anything, I want the Clarity Act to pass. Like what? All right, stablecoin yield, like whatever, just get it done. There's a lot of pros and cons to that question. I think the overall benefit of just getting crypto, not just stablecoins, under the roof, is really going to raise the bar for compliance teams, for companies, and that helps protect consumers and businesses.
Since it was brought up, I would love to finish off this panel talking a little bit about AI agents and security around that. We don't have that much time left, but I'd love to go down the panel, starting with you, Dominic. Just as people are starting to set up their own agents, many of them are giving access to crypto wallets, to the ability to order stuff from Amazon for them. Is that something that you think that you would recommend? And if it is something that people are doing, what is like the biggest thing that they should keep in mind while they're doing that?
Well, I'm going to give you kind of two answers. So the AI agent, a lot has to be proven out yet. And so it has to be careful, guardrails, educate. I'm not sure it's all there yet. But where I think about AI and agents is on the flip side. So with social engineering and scams and all the attacks across vulnerabilities, across Web3 and even TradFi, was incredible before AI. And now it is exponentially greater. And so, North Korea is already, Lazarus Group is already implementing AI-enabled attacks. And so I'm thinking from a defensive posture versus a retail use at this point. And so that's where I think having companies like Immunefi and CertiK to really dig into, all right, how do we stop this side of the house or protect against it is one thing. What we're looking at is what are the typologies so we can understand the blockchain forensics and predict things that might happen from a blockchain pattern perspective. But the real work done, I think, is over here. So I'll pause there to give maybe some time for Mitchell. Yeah, Mitchell.
Real work is over here. He wants us to give our secrets right away. I guess I'll go. Should I give a secret? I'll give some secrets.
I would love a secret.
Okay, we'll give some secret. So, two sides, I would say, two ways of thinking about how AI is changing the game in on-chain security. And it's changed the game forever. We're not going back to the old world. The first one is in changing what people can build and the type of leverage you can get with your team. The second one is changing the economics of security and how you need to be thinking as a defender. And these are both really, really important. They're going to make these two things are going to unlock a world where crypto is safer and superior for finance than traditional database technologies, in my view. But we are just at the beginning of this evolution. So the first side of it is you can use these agents to get incredible leverage. And I'll give you an example. We had a breakthrough inside of Immunefi, first of its kind. We built a triaging agent that outperforms every single one of our human operators in how they do it. That's crazy. We could not have imagined doing. This was the holy grail that in the bug bounty and crowdsourced security world we've been building and dreaming of for years. And it was a pipe dream. And then all the work that we're coming, the frontier models, advance, all the stuff we've done for our company Harness, all the things that we've done, our huge data set on vulnerabilities, finally comes in handy, and with the leap forward, I would say, that Harness architecture and that the most recent models, especially Claude's Opus model, have made, you can now do things that are incredible. I can get the very best, the 1% of my triaging talent reviewing each and every single vulnerability report and security incident as if they were in the freshest of their freshest mind, following an SOP that they never skip. This changes everything. This gives me unimaginable security scale and leverage as a defender. However, well, that's exciting. That's incredible. And we're going to see these benefits proliferate and spread throughout the industry. There's also a flip side of that, which is the economics of security have changed. Now that we've reduced the cost of security attention so completely, the balance of power that we once had in security is gone forever. We once had a balance of power because, you know what? It just took a certain amount of work from these North Korean hackers for them to execute some kinds of attacks. And it doesn't anymore. It doesn't. In the same way that I'm giving each and every one of my customers 100 or 1,000 times the security leverage to access a level of vulnerability expertise they could never get, never hire in any world before. North Koreans and every other hacker group around the world, and there are so many in so many countries, much more than you think from the news. Each one of these is also leveraged. And so the game of security is like this. Before, it would have been, if you get something wrong 1 in 100, you lose. You have to get 99 out of 100 right. But at least you could get maybe 1 wrong because it doesn't make sense for most attackers to put in that much effort. But we're moving into a world where if you lose 1 out of 10,000 times, you lose. 1 out of 100,000 times, you lose. Turns out 99.9% is a failing grade in the new world of on-chain security, which means the only way to win, the only way in a world dominated by more incredible AI tooling and more advanced frontier models, is to have complete code coverage, complete architectural coverage, complete determinism, or as close as you can logically get and calculate, formal verification on everything, fuzzing on everything, everything apply to every part of your security stack. Okay? That's the world we're going into. AI is making it possible. And everybody who doesn't keep up and doesn't build there fast enough is going to get destroyed in the process. The old status quo is over. We all have to adapt to this at breakneck speed. No pressure. No pressure, everybody. My thoughts.
Ronghui, would love to get your thoughts on this as well.
I totally agree with all these thoughts, and I just want to bring two points. One is that so I think we can think of this wall in terms of the amount of tokens being spent, right? Because both the security firm and the hacker can use AI, right? Basically burning tokens, right? If you're burning more tokens, you get find a deeper vulnerability, let's say. But the thing is, you can see a hacker can target, let's say, a protocol. and can spend lots of tokens on it. But as a defender, let's say as a security firm, well, the tokens we spend will be limited by the budget, right? So that's why I said, well, from this point of view, it's an unfair game because we have this budget. We can't burn so many tokens just for one protocol, right? And but the hacker can, right? So in a sense, even with the same weapon, well, it's unfair, right? It's unfair. So this is the first thing. Second is that how to address this, right? How to address this? Well, from our point of view, I think, well, rather than, let's say, after a big upgrade and we let them pay a huge amount of auditing fee, right? Actually, in the future, you'll see that it covers the token cost, right? So I would say maybe they should spend the tokens during the development cycle, right? To make this game a little bit more fair, right? So that's why CertiK released AI Auditor, right? Such that, well, they can scan it within, let's say, $20, right? They didn't feel it, right? But well, it keep increasing the security and so on. So this is one point. The second point is you mentioned about formal verification. So I spent many years in the formal verification research, and so AI, well, use AI. No matter how many tokens you spend, right? You say, well, sorry, we can't find a new vulnerability. You still can't. It still can't give you any guarantee, right? Right. When AI find a vulnerability, it proves that well your code has a bug. But when AI can't find a vulnerability, it doesn't prove that your program is bug free, right? So the only thing that knowing technique that can prove that your program is bug free is through formal verification. But the thing is, formal verification is very costly, right? So, but with the help of AI, actually, we can try to make it more cost efficient. So I would say that's maybe the weapon that AI can bring to us as defender.
Isn't this? It's kind of interesting. You did all this work on formal verification, and we're going into a world where formal verification is probably going to be the most complete tool that we have for securing on-chain infrastructure. And where before you needed an army of PhDs to do it, but now you can create an army of PhD agents, hypothetically, and you could formally verify every single bit of code, every single part of your infrastructure as you are developing it.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I can give you some numbers. So, I started my PhD in the year of 2011. Back then, the best number in the industry that you write one line of code, and you need to write 7 lines of proof to prove it. So in a sense, that the formal verification cost is at that time it's 20 times, meaning that the cost for the formal verification is about 20 times over the cost of the development. So nobody gonna use it, right? Imagine, right? So the company, let's say for a big software company, imagine their budget for development and the budget for security, right? It can't be 20 times, right, on the security side. And I think I spent my PhD study, right, 5 years on formally verify a multiprocessor, what's currently called CertiK OS, right, CertiK OS. And it's being supported by DARPA, actually deployed on the Landshark machine, which is a war machine. So only, DARPA, only U.S. Army would want to spend, right, 20 times or 7 times of the budget, right, to secure a piece of software. But at that time, we reduced this ratio to 7 times. In the sense that, well, the cost to formally verify a piece of software is about 7 times over the development cost. Still not acceptable, right, to most of the company. But now with the help of AI, and actually in our research, in my research lab at Columbia, we just published a Spock paper on Spock 2, and it's won the best paper honor mention at ASPLOS this year, actually. And so we reduced that number to something almost like 1 times. Like, well, you spend. So I think it's already, and without any AI, technology.
So can we get this lower, like a tiny fraction of development, real-time formal verification?
Yeah. So my expectation is that with the AI technology, we can dramatically reduce it. So right now, the verification part has been almost fully automated. The costly part is time to write specification. That one, actually, we can utilize AI. Basically, you can write some, natural language, right, to describe your software. We can turn it into, formal specification. We can test it. We can show whether it is indeed intended or not, something like that. So, I hope and I expect that we can get there with the help of AI, right? That's the best weapon we can have. Yeah.
And just let me contextualize this all, because we're having a little conversation here, and it sounds real nerdy. We're talking about reducing the cost of formal verification, but if we succeed in what Ronghui is describing here, we don't just crack the problem of on-chain security and making financial code of the future effectively unhackable. We solve the problem of being able to create and distribute secure code across all computers, because formal verification, you can now take this technology and you can apply it to everything. And this is the opposite of the world that we've been living in forever, where code is created primarily by human beings and is messy and has problems and has bugs, and a whole world of hackers, of people like me and my platform exists to take advantage of basically human error. But if we can make this technical breakthrough that we do in crypto, it's going to touch every single part of your life, every single part of technology. We will harden and make safe every single system that our technology and our civilization depends on. So it's really so much more exciting. Yes, we're all going to be rich in crypto, God willing.
Yes.
Right? Priorities. Priorities. But it's going to be so much more. It's such a bigger deal than it looks. It's a real breakthrough in computation.
Well, we'll have to keep following this story as it develops. Thank you so much to our panelists for joining. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, everyone.